Yeah, I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more times.
5 blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.
This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Finally, Misfits, Wasserman, the Sauerland brothers, KSI are in business.
There's a thumbnail. Woo! Got that?
It's very easy to find a thumbnail for you, Kalle. You don't have to give me one.
Premiere fight week of Misfits boxing. I can't say that I've ever seen anything like it. The numbers are insane. We got sold out O2 on Saturday. It's bizarre, but it's fun. I mean, the characters here are crazy, no, Umar? I mean, I feel like I'm at home.
Definitely are. Did you ever think one day...
I'm actually thinking about lacing them up myself again.
Yeah?
Comeback time.
Jake Paul's about this week, so...
Well, you know, I said it first on IFL, remember?
That's probably one of the best rants we've had on IFL ever. When you did that rant, did you ever think you'd step into this world?
Well, I know a lot of people at home, stop, because I'm going to say this first. When they look at that rant, I'm talking about not crossover boxing, I'm talking about them calling out Floyd Mayweather. And I stick by it, so I haven't thought, oh, I'll make a few quid over there and I'll hop the fence, you know? So, no, absolutely not. Look at the show on Saturday night. Take away the fact that these are superstars with bigger numbers than any pro fighters in terms of following. They're novice boxers, so we're treating them that way, and they're being matched that way. And I always said that, I believe they deserve the chance. And by the way, a lot of them have trained as hard as any pro has trained. KSI has been in sick training camps. He's lucky enough to have the financial ability to travel with a team the whole time. He's selling out stadiums and concerts and whatever. But he's training twice a day like a pro, travelling with sparring partners. I spoke to his coach earlier. I think he's done 150 rounds of sparring. You know, so I don't know. I mean, that's impressive, yeah. And the ones who don't do that, by the way, like in novice boxing, they're the ones who are going to get found out. They'll only be doing this once, you know. So it makes for excitement. Look, you know, it's the first DAZN pay-per-view in the UK, and it's, you know, the numbers are fantastic on this. They really are. We sold out the O2. We haven't done a press conference yet. You tell me a boxing event that sold out the O2 without doing a pre-presser. That's not unheard of, you know. So it's fantastic.
Okay. Why is he fighting 2 opponents in one night?
Ask him. When I heard it, I was like, oh my days, like how? And then I thought to myself, you know what? It's not really my business. He's the promoter, right? I might sit up there at the top table and, you know, do the weigh-in and everything else, but really, the best promoter on planet Earth, forget Kalle, forget Eddie, forget Frank, forget Bob, forget them all. Roll them all together and times them by 1,000, and you still haven't got KSI's power, right? It's sick. I mean, he puts out a YouTube clip stating about the fight, and within 15 minutes, he's had 2 million views. Sorry, but those numbers are just like, no. So when he came up with it, I just said, look, does this work for your demographic? It wouldn't work as a pay-per-view in classic boxing, but it went through the roof, the stuff. You know, the reaction was huge. So from that point of view, from a boxing point of view, let's talk boxing for a minute. He beat Logan Paul, and he took 1,000 days out the ring to become a #1 rapper, launch an energy drink around the world, etc., etc. And now he's back after 1,015 days out the ring. Right? So he's fighting a rapper in the first fight who's never fought before. Swarms has never boxed before. He's a big lump. So, but you don't know, is he going to come out swinging? Is he going to go into, you know, is he going to go run mode? Is he going to try and swarm him? We don't know. But because there's nothing, so you go into the unexpected on that. He might come out and be a real dirty fighter. We don't know. So that's very difficult to prepare for. And Then in the second fight, if he gets through that, he's got a box in ultimately what is his third pro fight. He's boxing a Mexican. People say Mexican journeyman, okay, fair enough. But what do normal boxers do in their first 5 fights? My rule, by the way, is no Irish, no Mexicans in your first 5 fights, because they're the toughest bastards on the planet. We all know that. Boxing fans know that. That's a lot to bite off after 1,015 minutes.
All I care about is the unrighteous oppressions against the Irish land. You understand me? For too long, the Irishmen's blood, sweat and tears have been taken advantage of by the British, and it stops.
And we're getting interesting political speech.
For 2,000 years. Do you understand me, lad?
I understand. I completely understand now.
I think we'll cut.
I completely understand.
Tell me what you're going to use those candy.
Just picking us back up with Kalle Sauerland. That was a bit out the ordinary, that was.
Like I said, expect the unexpected this week. I love it, but it is it's different.
Now I want to talk about the DAZN pay-per-view. So obviously they've got their they've got their deal with Matchroom, etc. They hadn't done any pay-per-views until this point in the UK. Mr. Kalle Sauerland comes along, brings the KSI one with Misfits, and then of course Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. You're the co-promoter, of course, but yeah, DAZN pay-per-view must be loving you at the moment.
It's a totally different segment. It's also a different price point. You know, it's a lot lower price point, totally different audience. We're not stepping on anyone's toes, no. And we work very well with Matchroom, as you've seen from the Eubank Ben and the many fights we've done over a decade now, you know. So yeah, you know, this one is really a totally, like, it came out of nothing because I had a discussion. I know KSI's manager since we were kids. We're up together, and he said, "What do you think about this idea of bringing the 3 of us together?" And he's very close with rappers and influencers, so he brings in the talent. We do the boxing side, and like I said, KSI, the best promoter on planet Earth, you know, naturally born.
How many buys do you think each pay-per-view does? Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn and KSI's fight this weekend.
I'm not going to give you that prediction, but I'll give you one stat. We've sold the O2 out now twice in a period of 6 weeks. What I will tell you, I would be surprised out of, let's say, call it 20,000 a night. I don't believe that more than 500 people of the 20,000 have tickets to both. Totally different. The vision, though, has to be that in 3, 4, 5 years' time, these young kids who have bought the tickets for the KSI fight are coming to Eubank Ben. That's what we want. We want to merge it up. So I'm delighted that kids, you know, in a way, let's be delighted that these superstars in their segments have chosen boxing and not chosen golf or whatever other sport they could have chosen, because young kids are talking about boxing now. You know, that's, my son's coming over to watch it. Why? Because his online heroes are boxing. He now talks to me about other boxers. He talks to me about Ryan Garcia. Unfortunately, none of the boxers I represent, but no, he loves Chris Eubank Jr. But it's a different demographic. But we've got to be smart in boxing. We've got to be smart. We don't have a federation looking over us and pumping money into the sport. We're a boxing promoters are entrepreneurs, and we have to act together to make our sport bigger for the future. You know, let's be honest. Early 2000s, we fell asleep a bit with the UFC. We lost a lot of young fans. This segment, they're not into UFC, they're into boxing. That's great. That's great.
Your reaction to Dev Sani saying Joyce Parker has double the amount of buys on BT Sport box office compared to Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Your reaction to Dev Sani saying that Joyce Parker does double the amount of pay-per-view buys on BT Sport box office. Dev Sani, who works for Frank Warren.
Ah, the one who I saw on Twitter. Yes. I've never heard of the fella. If that's the first comment I come across, then that's it. He must be an interesting guy. He must start early every day. Yeah, nice. They're not sold out yet, right? We sold out in 6 minutes, the O2, with the highest ever gate at the O2. So, interesting. I'm not knocking that fight. I think it's a fantastic fight. I think it's a great fight. I'll be buying it. I'll be watching it. But don't compare it. I mean, come on, are you nuts? I mean, no, I think it was a bit of it was a stunt. He wants some followers, and I went on a thing, so well done, mate. He got me because I didn't know who he was, so I thought he was quite a well-spoken man. You know, nothing against him. I don't know him. I'm not one of these types that meet you on social media. Don't walk up to me and tell me you know me because you've liked my tweet or something. I don't give a shit. You know, I'm a man's man. I know someone when I meet him. So I'm sure I'll meet him if he works for Frank. One day we'll come across each other, and I look forward to meeting him. But I don't know. Off that statement, I don't know. Can I say he's trying to create some hype, and he's done a good job in it. Well done.
Couple of more things. On the weekend, a lot of people, Kalle, had Zilai Zhang winning the fight against Filip Hrgović. What did you think?
Yeah, look, opinions are like, you know, yeah, how'd you see the knockdown?
What did you make of Filip's performance?
What did you make of the knockdown?
Oh, what, in the first round? Well, I haven't watched it back on TV, but in the arena it looks like he did clip the back of the head. I don't know what it looked like on television.
Got TV's cusped the back of the head to pull him in, and he's pulled him down. Philip should have, Zhang's face and everything, when he started counting, he was like that. Philip should have reacted, but he didn't. But at the same time, it wasn't Philip's best night, but at the same time, he threw 3 punches for every one that was thrown at him. Yeah, he landed them all power punches. He landed them all, every stat was high. I'm not a stats guy, I'm just pointing out the facts here. I personally couldn't give a toss. We have a W and we go on, we march on. After a long wait, we are finally official challenger, mandatory to Alexander Usyk. Hopefully, and by the way, we definitely wouldn't step in the way of an Usyk Fury fight, but we'll fight the winner of that. You know, cool.
So you got WBO Joyce and Parker, WBA Daniel Dubois, and of course with the IBF Filip Hrgović. Do you know who's next in line?
The Cycles and the IBF is next.
Okay. And in terms of the main event, what did you make of the fight itself before we come on to what happened after in the ring?
The main event, like most people, AJ massively improved. You know, massively improved. Wasn't enough. You know, he'll probably look back after he's hung him up in many years to come, hopefully, and think maybe a fight in between would have made a big difference. You know, because he certainly improved, but Usyk for me was a bit flat. It was an amazing performance, but it was flat in terms of how Usyk does things. He knows how to. He's a very, very strategical boxer. I've promoted him. I've been in his camps. I've seen him firsthand. He's a guy who really knows the sport. He knows how he hurt Joshua in the first fight, and I'll put some of the credit down to Joshua. But Usyk didn't capitalise on that left hook, for example, which he threw beautifully in the first fight. Didn't see much of that. You know, I don't make much of this 9th round. He almost got stopped in the 9th. Don't buy that for 1 second. It was an exciting round, but no. Actually, I thought AJ was closer to stopping him in the first fight than the second fight. I don't think anyone was close to stopping anyone. But fantastic fighter. By the way, fantastic fighter AJ is as well.
In terms of afterwards, he obviously grabbed Alexander Usyk's belts and threw them out the ring and gave an outlandish speech, shall we say. What did you make of that when you were watching it?
I think people forget too quickly, and I've been around the sport since I was born. I've seen training camps. I've been my school holidays were as a kid were on training camps with fighters. They're horrible places. Mate, give the man a fucking break, right? Fucking Anthony Joshua. All the money he's brought into the sport. Yeah? Fury and Joshua are the reason we're talking about heavyweight boxing. They're the reason that journeymen are earning 10 times what they were earning 4 years ago. They're the reason that the people on the high street are talking about boxing. Fuck off with fucking picking on Anthony Joshua because he's a fucking bit of a sore loser. But every fucking champion's a sore loser. Some can cover it better and some not. I've got to say, the whole rude boy coming out of him, that's the spite of AJ. He's a North London boy. He came out in that moment and he showed us a bit of the spite that he shows in a ring. He let us in and we saw that. But I get he came out and apologised. That's the politically correct thing to do these days. You know what? Tyson wouldn't apologise. He would say, fuck off, right? That's Mike Tyson, that is. And actually Tyson Fury probably as well wouldn't have apologised. Quite similar that way. But so he did that part. For me, he didn't even need to apologise. Man, that's emotion. That's real emotion. We see AJ as the one on GQ, the one every time I buy a bottle of bloody Lucozade, I've got him looking at me. That's the AJ that we've been sold. But there's a real AJ, and that real AJ came out for a second. And I don't mean that he's like that the whole time, I'm sure. Lovely man. But we saw a bit of that spite. Man, so what? He wore his heart in his chest for a second. So what? He was devastated. And fucking, you know, people say, oh, they're doing it for the money, they're doing it for that. He wasn't doing it. Of course he was doing it for the money, but he showed real emotion. That's what you want to see. I love it. So, yes, was it a bit of a meltdown? Yeah. You want to see my meltdowns? Fuck me. That was child's play. Bloody hell. I would have dropped all four out the belt and thrown someone out the ring. But, you know, that's emotion. That's what we want to see. That's why it was headline news the next day. We're talking about the fight. We're talking about him dropping belts out the ring. This is, once again, this is Anthony Joshua, two-time heavyweight champion of the world. Someone give the man a break. He had a meltdown in the ring. So what? McEnroe used to fucking do on a tennis court, smashing his racket. So he's a legend. So is Anthony Joshua. Relax, chill.
I guess because people would say they're Usyk's belts, just to play a counter to that.
Yeah. They're still Usyk's belts. So what? He'll have one of his helpers go and pick him up. I mean, of course it's, you know, it's, you know, say, oh, well, he's a bad loser. But listen, champions are all bad losers. All bad losers. And in the past, when AJ's lost, he hasn't showed that side. But, you know, if you're not a bad loser, you'll never be a champion. That's fact.
You're a bad loser.
Fucking terrible. But I'm not a champion, but I'm still a bad loser. I even round my kids when I play Monopoly. I can't lose, I hate it. But we all lose sometimes.
I think you're a champion in many other things, Kalle. Thank you very much for your time, and this own pay-per-view this Saturday live at the O2.
Absolutely. Be there or be...
Yeah, my dad in the street against a heavyweight. I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more times.
5 blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.
Welcome, Team Everlast, to the Team Everlast Fitness app. Download the Everlast Fitness app and find your greatness within.